Make sure everything is right on my end and the outcome at the end. Man, welcome back to one of the greatest shows you probably never heard of. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm one of the greatest the world ever heard of. Yet. You know, put the emphasis on yet. Cool world order. I'm your host, is real cool. You know, these Tuesdays and Thursdays are something a little bit more special, tad bit unorthodox, probably out of the ordinary. If I may add myself, we kind of got some technical difficulties going on around here. We got to deal with some signals and things of that nature, but we're not gonna be here for a long time because I gotta watch my stars as we try to battle back to get a grip of the Lord standing. So I do want to make this swift, but not only do I want to make this swift, I also want to make sure that I provide clarity into what I'm doing, into what I'm talking about. Right. So these few past weeks, I kind of been combing through my thoughts, and I've been blessed to be, I've been blessed to really have a gift of making my thoughts somewhat tangible. Right. I think everybody has certain thoughts, but I think it's truly a gift to make them tangible, so you can kind of format them and give it to the people and see if they fuck with it. But regardless, I just want to be able to share my thoughts on some of the things that I see that's going on personally, right? So today I'm doing this is a part two. I'll say about a year or so ago, I did a video about embracing isolation. It was called Ducked Off, right? Embracing isolation. I drew the inspiration from Trill Family. So anybody y'all know the Trill Fam, one of my favorite songs, my favorite song from them is Ducked Off. So that's where I got the name from. So RP, Lil Fat, and shout out to the rest of those guys. But because I love that song so much, the way it captures isolation, right? I don't want to be bothered. I just need time to pretty much gather my own thoughts. I don't want to deal with no hoes. I don't want to talk to you niggas. I don't want to deal with nothing. I just want to have time and kind of like peace of mind. And songs like that don't get talked about as much because it ain't, making you bounce, making you shake your ass as much as kind of where you kind of sit back and think like, damn, I do kind of need some time to, time to relax and decompress. So I drew the inspiration from that for that video, and this is a part two. Now I also wanted to add a different spin on it. I wanted to add a different touch on it. I wanted to add a little bit more sauce on it, right? So on this go, the first one was embracing isolation, and on this go, this talks about silence, right? Silence. Oh, on Tuesday, I kind of grazed by the importance of boredom, right? Like I said, with some of these thoughts that come from left field, but this is how I think about a lot of this shit, right? It's boredom. I think boredom has been stolen from us. A few of these things have been stolen from us due to the way of this world spinning, in my opinion, right? Things that we took for granted, like boredom. In my opinion, like I said on Tuesday, boredom pretty much is the basis of our imaginations. We all have a vivid memory of us being bored one day, and our granny or our mama or our papa or somebody told us we'll go figure it out. So we kind of ventured out into the neighborhood and probably found some things that we probably shouldn't have gotten into, or some things that we should, but that boredom kind of sparked our creativity and our imagination, right? So I kind of feel like certain things have been robbed from us as human beings, right? Boredom is one. Today, I'm talking about silence, right? Silence is one of those things that I do believe have been robbed from us, right from under our nose. The smoothest finesse of all time. We live in a day and age where attention is everything. We live in an attention economy. So how many times, just think how many times throughout your day where it's just complete silence, right? Versus when you were younger and it was complete silence. Now that may, depend on where you grew up at, country, city. I grew up in the city, so it wasn't really anything that was silent, but I used to always observe my grandmother and my father, um, and my mother for that instant. They all needed times of silence. You feel what I'm saying? Even when it was like, um, where everything seemed okay, silence was the answer. I'm not a Bible thumper or anything, but you know, being still is one of those things that was drilled into a lot of our heads growing up. You know what I'm saying? Be still. You gotta let the Lord do work. Be still. You know what I'm saying? Stop, all the extra shit, you know. But I kind of think that silence has been stolen. So because I've had that thought, right? You already know I got slides and things of that nature. You feel me? Just want to see me moving and talking. Let me pull them up though, real quick. Hopefully everybody has had a good day. If you haven't by now, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe and all the other YouTube, lingo and jargon and things of that nature. Pull these notes up real quick. Then we're gonna get started. You feel me? We are going to get started. As soon as they pop up, it's uploading. But while it's uploading, let me see. Let me make sure I got my other shit right. Okay, there we go. Good, 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 good. All right, so make sure my voice is, make sure we clear as possible. Let me open up this goddamn fresh water. Make sure I get my words out. A nigga can be parched at times. All right, so I want to start with this, right? In a culture that's driven by noise, where every moment demands commentary, content, and reaction, silence has become a radical act. And we live in a society that equates visibility with value, performance with presence, and volume with truth. But in the whirlwind of opinions, distractions, and demands, silence is not absence. In fact, it's resistance, it's clarity, it's presence, and increasingly a luxury. Excuse me. And so this is an exploration of what silence really means in our modern world to me, and maybe to you or somebody that you know, right? And why reclaiming silence might be one of the most powerful things that we can do. So we start with these things, right? Silence as a resistance. Also, silence as clarity, silence as presence, and silence as a luxury, right? So first, we're gonna get into silence as resistance, right? Excuse me. So in a culture that's obsessed with visibility, immediacy, and opinion, silence can feel like a betrayal. We are conditioned to believe that to be silent is to be complicit, cowardly, or disconnected, but that perspective oversimplifies the power and purpose of intentional silence. In many ways, silence today is one of the most underrated tools of resistance. Um, we are living in a time where every moment begs to be reached to, right? Like everybody needs to be reached. Everything has to be reacted to, posted about, or um, politicized, even, right? So platforms incentivize constant engagement, hot takes, rapid responses, comment sections full of strangers scrambling to really say not a goddamn thing. So everybody wants to be heard, right? The louder the voice, the more it gets amplified. Not saying this right, but the louder the voice kind of gets amplified. So in the middle of this frenzy, silence can seem like a void, especially when in truth it's a boundary. You feel me? So choosing silence in the face of provocation is somewhat a refusal to feed the machine. The machine is what we in right now. If you don't know, every time you look and turn, there's a machine. Either we on YouTube, we on Facebook, we on IG, we on Twitter, we on some machine. You know what I'm saying? We it's already, that's why I say this is one of the biggest finesses over the past few years is this machine and how it grew, right? Because it used us to grow. And it kind of right at this point, a lot of this shit is on autopilot. You feel me? So when um when the algorithms thrive on your emotional labor, silence kind of becomes a refusal to be harvested for engagement. To not comment, not reply, or not retweet is to starve the spectacle because everything feeds off our attention, right? So all of that says you don't get my energy, my time, or my pain. Now, silence can also protect the sacred in communities historically surveilled, exploited, and commodified, especially in Black communities. Silence can be a way to keep culture, grief, healing, and wisdom away from the prying eyes of voyeuristic systems. You feel what I'm saying? Everything doesn't need to be live streamed or explained. Some truths deserve to be held quietly, not for secrecy, but for survival. We can't. It's kind of like when your auntie or your mama or any one of your elders, you know, wasn't you probably was a kid and you didn't know much, but you probably said too much, and they said they probably hit you on the shoulder, probably smacked the shit up out you, popped you in your shit, thumped you in your ear. Hold on, oh shit, I'm water down. But they probably did some shit where it was like, boy, you saying some, we can't tell everybody everything. It's kind of like we lost that, you know. Everything is live stream, everything is explained, everything has to be, like we keep doing things to feed the machine, and just the secrecy is lost in our communities. You know what I'm saying? They don't need to understand everything that we're doing on this side of the game. You feel what I'm saying? They don't need to. That's how they keep staying ahead of us because we keep yapping up at the fucking mouth every time. You know what I'm saying? We get a link on something, we get a hunch on something to advance the community. Some of you niggas want to go ahead and tell everybody everything. Oh, we don't found. No, niggas, shut the fuck up. Cause they don't tell us everything about what they got going on. About these new little loopholes and all this shit. Like they don't tell us everything, but we so willing. We so our arms always open and shit. We always want to invite everybody in. You feel what I'm saying? When everybody ain't inviting us in, And to me, that shit is fugazing. You feel me? So, like I said before, in our communities, silence can be a way to keep culture, to keep grief, healing, and wisdom away from prying eyes of voyeuristic systems. Everything doesn't need to be live streamed or explained. So, take for example how quickly public tragedies are turned into content, right? Um, there's a rush to post condolences, perform empathy, and uh, kind of politicized pain, you know, all before the affected have even had time to process. I think we've all done this and we have all been a victim of this as well, you know. So sometimes the most radical thing to do is to just pause, you know, to just listen, to try to hold space without immediately trying to fill it, to say, I don't need to be seen right now. I need to be still. Like, for instance, when Mother's Day rolls around, right? Um, I kind of take a step back, everybody's posting their shit. Cause I ain't gonna lie, a lot of that shit kind of gets repetitive, like, especially after my mother, after she passed away in 2012. Um, for the first few years, but nowadays, like I'm not gonna do this shit every year because it's kind of not everybody's business. You know what I'm saying? Like this is how I feel. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm gonna chill. Me and you know what I'm saying, like me and my brother just, kind of taking a step back, you know what I'm saying? We love our mama to death still to this day. You feel what I'm saying? It's never gonna change. You know what I'm saying? That's a void that can never be filled by any human being on this motherfucking piece of rock floating through space. Whether it's round or flat, that's for you to decide. But I'm just saying, you feel me? Um, Take a step back because it's like okay. Um, for a long time on that day, I just was quiet. I didn't have my TV on. I didn't have my phone on. I just kind of sat and thought, and, shed a couple thug tears. You feel what I'm saying? A couple thug tears. I said a few prayers. You know what I'm saying? Wrote down some things, created some content, kind of framed up some content. I kind of took some time out to peel back. You feel what I'm saying? So, the one of the things that I've learned, and it, this is why I kind of can piggyback from the first video of Ducked Off, the first one, from embracing the isolations, is because it was a time period where I didn't. You know, there's a time period where I couldn't go to sleep without a TV being on. I couldn't go to sleep without some rain sounds or something help me go to sleep. And it's like, at some point, what is it about having something known that helps us go to sleep when silence is not enough? You know, is it because our thoughts are too loud? If that makes any sense. You feel what I'm saying? If you sat in silence, if you really sat in silence before you went to sleep, how would you feel? How long would you stay up just without not using the phone, not everything, just pitch black in your house, on your bed, on the pallet, wherever you sleep, on the couch, air mattress, don't whatever wherever you are at, wherever the fuck you sleeping at, pitch black dark. Where does your mind go? What does that silence mean to you? You feel what I'm saying? Once you take out all the noise and you really just sitting with you and your soul and your brain and all the other good shit, where does that shit kind of fit in? What are you thinking about? You feel what I'm saying? So, um, this is not to say that silence should always be the response, right? There are times when speaking out is necessary, even urgent. There are times when you do need to create some, make some noise. But the pendulum, in my opinion, has kind of swung so far into compulsive and repulsive expression that we've lost the art of discernment. Especially, I don't think, maybe I think this, right? Discernment is more important right now than it has ever been in our society, because as these fantasy and reality worlds mesh in front of our faces, it's getting harder and harder to deem what's real and what's not. You feel what I'm saying? Besides the people that kind of take certain things and put them, kind of put a spin on them. Now we got to deal with what being shown to us real. You know, as the technology gets better. You feel what I'm saying? Our brains are kind of at a race with technology. Is is trying to keep your mind from getting fucked on a daily basis. You feel what I'm saying? It's them showing you the truth and telling you it's not the truth, even though you know it's the truth. But now you got doubt in your mind: is that really the truth? Like, am I really seeing what the fuck I'm seeing? So discernment is in my opinion, very important, very very important, and more important today than it has ever been. So we forget that silence is not absence, it's intention. It's the moment before the beat drops, it's the breath before the shout, it's the space where real power gathers. So in this world of all the knee-jerk opinions and digital performance. Silence, in my opinion, is a sacred strategy. And it's the difference between reacting and responding, being provoked and being present, between being loud and being real. You understand? So with that, we're gonna move on to science as clarity, right? So clarity is a rare commodity in a world addicted to stimulation. We're constantly surrounded by sound, literal and figuratively. Excuse me. Come on now, goddamn. Figuratively. Um, every every device in our lives is a portal to noise, news feeds, text alerts, autoplay videos, background music, ads, conversations we're not in, but they even, still we over here, right? This ever-present hum becomes so normalized that true silence, true stillness feels alien and even uncomfortable. But um therein lies its value, right? Because silence is not just the absence of noise, it's also the presence of space. And everybody needs that space. And in that space is clarity. Um, Clarity can finally breathe, right? So in silence, that static dies down. The pressure to perform dissipates, it dissolves. There's no need to curate, to caption, to compete. The mind usually pulled in 1,000 directions every day since once you get up and you walk outside your door, even before you walk outside your door, once you wake up and you got things you worrying about, problems, bills, etc., right? It pulls you in 1,000 directions and it begins to recalibrate. It kind of begins, once you give it that silence. That's what I kind of think about it as that silence kind of recalibrates you. You feel me? um, your thoughts slow down, your feelings rise to the surface. Questions you There we go. We back. My bad. My bad. We're here pressing too many buttons. Anyway, but are we still on the same slide? Yeah, we are. Okay. So um where was I before I started pressing too many goddamn buttons? Okay. Feelings rise to the surface. The questions that you buried up under the busyness that kind of reemerge. Am I okay? Am I fulfilled? Why am I doing this shit? What do I really, really want? You know, if y'all grew up around Dallas, in the Dallas area, man, y'all know, we used to watch Flavor TV at the end of every Flavor TV. Pastor Ricky Rush and get on there, you know what I'm saying? What in the hell do you want when heaven is all that you need? And we ain't talking about what in the hell do you want is heaven all that you need. We just saying, like, what? You ask yourself these questions. You know what I'm saying? Just ask yourself, just sit in the mirror, sit by yourself and ask yourself questions like, what am I doing right now? How can I make myself, just wherever all that good shit. So this isn't some lofty concept, right? That's just reserved for people like monks and mystics and witches and gypsies and things of that nature. It's deeply human, you know. It's something that's was born in us. It's something that God put in us to be still. And the further and further we got in life, the less and less still we've gotten. Everything's on the move. From just even the lingo, you gotta be having motion. And nobody saying you gotta be still. They say, oh, you gotta be having motion. You gotta be doing this. You gotta be moving and grooving. You gotta be shaking and baking. Everything got something to do with moving, but nothing has anything to do with being still. Kind of lost that in the midst of all this shit. You feel me? So, um, it's deeply human. Everyone has experienced a moment when they turned off their phone, or hopefully you have, kind of sat still and suddenly felt everything. You cut off everything, you suddenly feel everything. The joy that they had acknowledged, the grief that they thought they ignored, thought they got over the dreams that they deferred. That's that silence. That that's that stillness that our elders always, installed in us about being still. Be still. Like they started to be still. All that goddamn moving and just ain't going on with it. Just be still. Gotta let that work. Work. So that's silence doing this work. That's natural. That's human. You feel what I'm saying? That's God given. You feel me? That's the body catching up to the soul. All day, every day, everything is pulling you every direction. But once you cut all that shit off, that's the essence. Like that's the core of you. So modern society often treats silence as a void to be filled. You know, dead air, awkward pauses, wasted time. Rarely gives you even any chance to think no more. If somebody asks you a question and excuse me, somebody asks you a question and you kind of sit there and think, they're gonna be like, God damn, you ain't gonna answer nothing, goddamn, man. Give me time to think. Give me time to think of my thoughts. Cause I ain't gonna lie. At this point, if you don't give me time to think out my thoughts, number one, personally, I already stutter. So it's already more than one thought in my brain. Number two, I gotta figure out which thought to get out. Number three, if I don't have no time to get them thoughts out, I'm just gonna walk the fuck out. I'm just gonna yeah. It's not still not dealing with it. You feel what I'm saying? I'm just not gonna deal with it. But that's how modern society kind of treats silence, you know. But what if that's the opposite, right? So what if silence is the soil where the ideas take root, where the intuition speaks, and where the healing happens? Like I was talking about on Tuesday with being bored. Like all these things got something to do with being still and just not letting things react for you, not letting something cause you to react, but just having natural human reaction. Like we've lost so much of ourselves as human beings. Like we get lost in what we do. We get lost. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us have been conditioned to care about things that everybody else is caring about. Some of that shit we don't even motherfucker care about. To be honest, you feel what I'm saying? So at some point, we we really do have to get back to being still and being silent and just listening instead of talking. You know what I'm saying? Cut out all that talking and all that moving around. It's got to be still and kind of let these things kind of work. You feel me? So we've also been conditioned to prize speed over depth, right? To react instead of reflect, to have an answer ready before the question even lands. But in the absence of silence, we kind of trade the understanding for immediacy and we mistake noise for knowledge. It's a lot of niggas out there making a lot of noise. And 98, 99.5%, and they ain't saying a motherfucking thing. It's a lot of moving around. Y'all ever listen to a whole lot of these rap songs? They saying a whole lot of nothing. Yeah, they ain't saying nothing. Everybody's saying the same shit. Everybody doing the same shit. Everybody talking about the same shit, but nobody's actually saying anything. Once you really sit and analyze this shit, you cannot take a whole lot out of nothing, out of anything these days. That's part of the reason why I like doing what I do, because I know for a fact it's guaranteed that somebody's going to be willing to take something out of what I'm doing. That was my vow to myself. Like, I know I want to create content. I want to do this shit. Everything can be cool, the shit on the screen and all that. But at the core of what the content that I'm putting out, what is the foundation? And my foundation, what I wrote down is I want somebody to be able to look at any one of my videos and take something from them and be able to use that in some shape, fashion, or form. So that's kind of weaved into the fabric of what this is. You feel what I'm saying? But 90% of everybody, 99%, 99.5%, They out here trying to get a lick. They see this shit as a lick. And don't get me wrong, I would love to just do this 24/7, all day, every day. And until I do, I gotta put my best foot forward and keep grinding and keep working and putting in my 10,000 hours. Really, really just not just, saying I'm this and that, but kind of just proving it every time I step out and turn this button on. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, I don't know if y'all play sports or not, but it's kind of like every time you're getting ready for a game, like I never played a game where I've said, you know what, I'm just gonna go halfway. We don't practice all week, and I feel good about practice. I'm just gonna go halfway today. I ain't gonna go all the way. I never did that. Some of y'all that did was the main one that was running to the back of the line when it was time for Oklahoma drills. And some young women are married to niggas who ran to the back of the line who was scared of Oklahoma. That they were scared of getting that CTE up front. And it's not okay. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's who you dealing with. That's who you chose to have kids with, and that's who you married. Niggas, when it was time to go in the bowl in the ring and get that good random get that good the niggas ran to the back. All of a sudden they had to go use the bathroom, look all around, niggas ducking behind other niggas trying to, no, it's your turn to get down here for the Oklahoma drill, especially the one where you gotta lay on your back, turn around, coach on that whistle. Now lay on your back, 5 yards out. Yeah. Yeah. Lay on your back 5 yards. Yeah, brother. Yeah, you gotta get up. You better get your ass up. Yeah. Y'all husbands and some of y'all boyfriends are running to the back of the lines. That's anyway, let's stay on subject. But um let's think about how much damage is done by rushed decisions. How many of our young brothers, how many of our old brothers, our elders, just people who look like me and you are in jail for rushed decisions? Decisions that were made in 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 2 seconds, that cost them a lifetime. Think about how much damage is done by rush decisions, impulsive responses, and unchecked emotions. Especially nowadays, everybody gotta be on that. Everybody on that type of time. Oh, I wish the nigga would come up running. I'm gonna whoop the shit. I'm gonna shoot the shit up. Yeah, everybody want to shoot the shit up until it's time to go to jail. Now you gotta fight for your body with a, Fleece Johnson or something of that nature. Now you could have did with just, what? Check yourself. You know what I'm saying? Check yourself and moved on. So how many how much damage is done by those rush decisions, impulsive responses, and unchecked emotions, right? Silence is the antidote. Silence kind of creates a buffer in between stimulus and reaction. It kind of gives us a chance to ask, what the fuck is really happening right here? What's worth responding to, right? As I get older, I understand, like, and I teach my children, and I always observe, like, what's worth responding to at this point of, you know, um, what is really worth my time? What is really worth my peace? Let's just say I do go off and go left and get mad. Is me getting mad over this? Is this really worth it? Am I gonna feel vindicated if I get mad over this? Now I'm facing the consequences of me not being able to check my emotions. You know, so in that gap, we kind of reclaim control, even with creativity, which we often associate with bursts of inspiration. That kind of thrives in silence. You know, writers know this, musicians know this, um, painters know this. People who, you know, everybody who's creative, no matter whether you writing, you making music, you painting, or you crocheting, or you knitting, or you reading, or you whatever you're doing creatively, you know that silence is an important ingredient in that. Some of the greatest breakthroughs don't happen in the middle of the noise. They kind of happen when the noise fades. So when the world grows quiet enough for a whisper of an idea to be heard, silence is clarity because it kind of helps us tune out the world and tune into ourselves. And in a time like this where we are constantly being told what the fuck to do, what the fuck to think, what the fuck to buy, how the fuck to feel, and what the fuck to fear, that is revolutionary, in my opinion. You understand what I'm saying? We're gonna move on to the next one. But before we move on, god damn it, we're gonna take a little brief intermission. I'm gonna give you a chance to get you some water so you can roll water. But we got shit to do. We got these ass to. So if you are in the Dallas Fort Worth area right about now, right, right about now, and you have a chair that ain't being too fair, you got a chair that ain't being too fair, and you have a table that ain't being too stable. I want you to holler at my brother, Brooks G953 at gmail.com, one furniture restoration. The QR code at the top left hand corner take you to the promised land. Don't throw it out. Give us a shout. You mean that one. Get it done right. That chair in your kitchen, you tired of putting a tennis ball on the edge of that. Go ahead and holler at my brother. Brooks G953 at gmail.com. That chair. Every time you sit in it, especially for all my I had to talk to, a young lady that I'm liking right now. She has, she's very uh voluptuous. Indeed. You feel me? So she's talking about a chair she's sitting there. I said, well, why your chair doing that? Because you know, you got, you know, hey, so you gonna need somebody to tighten up them screws because you know them collard greens and the cornbread and things of that nature has made it to where your derriere is wearing out the hinges in that seat, baby. You gotta go ahead and get that fixed. And I told her if you was in the Dallas Fort Worth area, I would take you to a person that would know what to do with that seat and get you one, turn that seat to a piece of art. It wouldn't be no creaking, no nothing. Everything would be just right. One furniture restoration. Don't throw it out. Give us a shout. We also are hitting at the very end of 2025 Mental Health Awareness Month. Turn your awareness into action. So I hope you guys have been taking care of yourselves. Don't just take it for the month. Go ahead and take it for the rest of the year. Take care of yourselves out there. You feel what I'm saying? Really, really, really. It's very important. The same way if you sprain your ankle, if you sprain your wrist, if you've been messing with that little dirty slut, and now you're sizzling. Now your sausage is sizzling. Your sausage is on the grill. It's fire. You got fire water coming out your body now. And you gotta go to the clinic. The same way you gotta take care of your brain. So make sure you go, make sure you take care of just look up something in your city that's going on with mental health awareness. I guarantee you they got something that is going on around there in your section. You understand me? Now, last ad before we get back to the business, you understand me, is before we get to that, actually, I lied. The prescription, Substack. If you like the old school blog style, if you want a platform that ain't with all the hoopla, all the weird shit, if you like platforms, this is the platform for the intelligent people. This is a platform for, the real ones out there that like to read and like to really cycle through thoughts and even give out a few of your thoughts without really being judged and kind of have think pieces to put out there and things of that nature. Go ahead and hit the Substack. And when you head over there, go ahead and type in the trill pill and you're gonna see this, the prescription. You feel what I'm saying? That QR code to the top right hand corner. I told y'all this is an interactive show at all times if you are aware. So the prescription Substack, I got a few things over there. I've also started to where these pieces of content that I put down, I'm starting to maybe put my notes over there or put a summary over there. You know what I'm saying? I'll trying to add something to the content so it's kind of in both shape, fashion, shape forms and things of that nature. But it's dope though. And there's a very intelligent, thriving Black community over there on Substack. I love it. I like it. Great people over there at Substack. It ain't with all the rest of the shit. It's very calm down, very turned down. You feel what I'm saying? It ain't turned up. Everybody want to be turned up. Turn down just a little bit. Now, the last ad before I go get back to the show, right? Is W energy, right? You know, if you're tired of those energy drinks that leave you crashing halfway through your grind, then it's time to level up with W Energy, the clean energy formula designed for focus, clarity, and real performance. No jitters, no sugar, no BS, just smooth, powerful energy that hits different. So whether you're gaming late night, creating content, chasing goals, or pushing through that 9 to 5, W's got the fuel you need to stay in the zone and crush it. Here's the best part. Now use my code Monumental, MINDYAMENTAL at checkout. You get 10% off your order because your mind deserves to stay trill. It really does. Coupon code MINDYAMENTAL. Coupon code Monumental. Get 10% off of your order. For sure. Now we back. Just like that. Had a little church announcements. We're gonna even throw some music on the back end. Cause now we're on the back end right now. Now we are at the peak of the hill, and now we heading towards the back end. You feel me? Thank you for sticking here with me. So, silence is presence. Let's cut that one off. There we go. We just need a little of that good background music. Let your mind unfurl. let your mind unfurl. But no, look. Okay. All right. There we go. Let me pull up. Let me see. We are back here. All right, we're back here. And what we're doing right now. Okay. What we're doing right now is we're going through silences, a luxury, and a presence, and clarity, resistance, and power of silence in today's society, man. Okay. So we tend to think of presence as showing up, being active, being on. But in reality, some of the most powerful forms of presence are rooted in the stillness. And when you're not performing, when you're not proving, when you're not pushing, when you're just being, and nothing anchors us to that kind of presence, quite like being silent. All right, we're gonna cut this music down a tad bit more, just a little bit more. We don't need that much music. We just want to, you know. So in today's society, wait a minute, that music's kind of distracting. I ain't gonna lie. All right, that's better. So we tend to no, in today's society where distraction is default, right? Real presence is very rare, and we live in a world of divided attention. We got one eye on the conversation, the other on the screen. How many times we talk to our children or children in our family? We trying to talk to the kids, and they ain't even. It seem like they ain't really listening to what we saying. They got their eyes tuned in, their attention is being grabbed by some weird ass teenager doing a little weird freaky dance. You know what I'm saying? Just doing some weird shit on TikTok screen. I don't know what the fuck that is. For a minute, I was kind of worried about these children because I often see children. I could be in the grocery store. I could be in Five Below. I can just be driving around, and I just see like kids just doing TikTok dances, but not doing it but not for TikTok. Just doing the dance, like just going through the motions of doing the dance. It's like, what the fuck is that? You feel what I'm saying? Have they really found ways to subvert? We'll get to that in the future. You feel what I'm saying? That's more that brain control, that mind control type of topic. I got something for that in the future. Stay tuned, like, share, and subscribe. But one eye on the conversation, the other on the screen, physically there, but mentally elsewhere. Even our moments are supposed are even our moments of supposed connection are kind of often mediated through apps, captions, and curated experiences. And we often respond with emojis instead of emotions. Emojis instead of emotions. You know what I'm saying? Um, we speak in updates instead of truths. And it's in this constant doing, we kind of forget how to be. But silence restores that, you know. To sit with someone in silence, to feel no pressure to feel it is one of the most intimate human experiences. It it says, I see you, I trust you, I'm here. I don't know if y'all ever had the pleasure of just sitting with somebody that you really, really fuck with and y'all just silent. Y'all ain't saying nothing, ain't nothing on. No, I'm not saying y'all butt naked. I'm just saying as far as like TVs and devices and ain't nothing on. You know what I'm saying? And you just really able to sit with that person. You know what I'm saying? That feeling that you get with the person that you really, really fuck with in that moment of silence, like that's divine in my opinion. Like that's rare in my opinion. When everything's tethered to everything else, that's kind of rare. You feel what I'm saying? It's rare that you can even get with somebody that actually values that silence. You feel what I'm saying? It ain't gotta be nothing freaky. No, you ain't gotta be nothing freaky deaky. I know some of y'all freaks out there. You understand me? Cool. But just the intimacy of being in the moment, of just being, especially with a kindred, a kindred soul that's with you, that's dope. You feel what I'm saying? So um that kind of presence is especially meaningful in moments of vulnerability. So when someone is grieving, someone is struggling, or simply overwhelmed, words can kind of fall short. And a quiet presence, um, a hand on the shoulder, or a shared breath, or an attentive silence can kind of speak louder than any other platitude, than any platitude ever could. It kind of speaks, it makes silence, if this makes sense to you. Silence kind of makes more noise than you keep saying shit. Sometimes I just need to sit. I don't want to hear no, oh, it's going, no, just leave me the fuck alone. Just sit with me. Just rock with me. Just sit with me through these times of just silence and allow my brain to kind of sift through all this bullshit that's going on. You know what I'm saying? Um, in silence, the empathy isn't explained, but it's felt. And it's not just being, it's not just about being present with others. It's also silence also helps with being present with ourselves. Like a lot of us will show up for everybody else, but don't show up for ourselves. And that's a problem, right? Many of us are so disconnected from our inner world that we don't even notice that we're burning out, that we are dissociating or drifting. We kind of numb ourselves with noise. Like told you earlier about a lot of us having to fall asleep with the TV on. We like rain sound. Quiet Native American flute. Every once in a while, that Native American flute kind of, strobe. You know what I'm saying? Or one of my favorites is the frequencies, the 432 hertz. Kind of the frequencies, kind of, things of that nature. Sometimes, right? So sometimes silence, it defeats all that. In my opinion, it kind of does. Um, Numbing ourselves with noise because we feel along with our thoughts. It kind of feels too much. Whatever we're dealing with mentally. Sometimes a lot of this shit is like, nigga, I gotta keep something on just to, you know what I'm saying? And like I've said, like I tried to do with these last few videos with some of these pieces of content I put out, is I try to identify that. Like, why is that? Why do we have to need that? Like, as some part of us, that's why I feel like something has been robbed from us as being human beings. Silence is healing. But we've kind of been robbed from that with everything, all the sounds, all the noise. We kind of been robbed of that. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know if it bothers y'all, but it kind of bothers me that I have to cut all this, everything off just to get some peace. You feel what I'm saying? It bothers me. Like, I just, you know what I'm saying? And we can kind of get into that next phase as well, right? As far as silence being a luxury nowadays. But we numb ourselves with noise because shit, being alone with our thoughts kind of feel like it's too much. But the avoidance is not peace, and the overstimulation is not connection. So this silence kind of invites us back to ourselves. It kind of asks us to listen to our breath, to our heartbeat, to our intuition. In the quiet and in the silence, we remember, like, we ain't the machines. We're not content, we're not brands, we're just people, we're just presence. Not, you feel me? Like, it's a real grounded presence. Everything is silent, and that's what makes life feel real again. That's what makes real again. And it's no coincidence that some of our most transcendent experiences happen in silence. Nighttime, you stand up under the sky. You witnessing the sunrise. You walking, you hiking, or you just sitting in a place of worship. You know what I'm saying? Silent. You looking in the eyes of somebody that you love. These are the moments that kind of remind us that you don't always need words to be here. You just need to stop running from the moment long enough to feel it. And in this way, silence isn't empty, it's full. It's full of truth, it's full of connection, and it's also full of life. You feel me? So as we close this out, silence as a luxury, we're gonna wrap this thing on up, right? Silence, once a natural part of human life, has now become a privilege. In today's hyper industrialized, overstimulated world where everything going the fuck off, everything turned up, true silence, the kind that nourishes your spirit, the kind that allows your nervous system to decompress, that has a price tag on it now, right? It's the commodity. Like, it's silence is a commodity now. It's a commodity that's kind of been parceled out to those who can afford to escape the noise. So what once was um given to us, not even really given to us, but just it was something that just was. You feel what I'm saying? Now at this point, it's being put behind a paywall. Whether it's in real estate, whether it's wherever you look in every genre, like, if you look at it, what makes things peaceful, what makes things silent, you're going to have to pay a pretty penny for that, for peace. Something that should be innate. You got to come out your pocket for it. You feel me? And that's where silence kind of exists in today's society. Private therapy rooms, soundproof apartments, high-end wellness retreats, yoga studios, noise canceling headphones that cost 800 goddamn me dollars, and getaways. Everything, like, silence is kind of sold to us in the form of all these different apps and minimalist aesthetics and curated digital detox packages and all that bullshit. But the message is clear. If you want peace, you got to buy it. But what about for those who can't? Are you going to tell me the ones who can't afford all that shit don't deserve a peace of mind? So for millions of people, especially in the working class communities and communities of color, these silence is a luxury that they can't access. So their environment is loud by design. Everything is done by design. I'm telling you, every one of these videos I'm putting out is going to tie in together because it's made like that. It's finely crafted. It's like a Marvel universe. Everything going to tie into each other on some Easter egg type shit. You just got to take this walk with me. All this shit is by design, even what you hear. The environment is allowed by design, whether it's sirens, traffic humming, neighbors arguing through the thin ass walls, kids crying, TVs, phones buzzing, you know, old buddy come down the street in the slab, disrupting everything, knocking pictures out the wall, man. He coming down. But goddamn, I ain't asked for all that goddamn sound. I'm trying to go in here and meditate to you. You know what I'm saying? Robbed. Robbed. These aren't just background sounds, they are symptoms of systemic stress. Symptoms of systemic stress. So noise becomes a stand-in for survival, constant motion, constant struggle, constant pressure. And in this reality, the silence isn't just about rest, it's about justice. Now, we don't often talk about silence as in what's the word for it? As an equity issue, but it is. The ability to unplug, the ability to take space, to hear yourself think is deeply tied to time, money, and safety. If you're working multiple jobs, taking care of a family, or you're navigating unsafe environments to make your bread, where is your moment of quiet? When do you get a chance to let your, like, when do you get a chance to hear yourself breathe? You hustling, you taking care of your family, you out here trying to get to all the money you can possibly get to, build on whatever you have. Like you constantly moving. When the fuck do you get a chance to just calm down and just sit down and just be? Right? So this disparity, it reveals something uncomfortable about modern life, and that the systems that generate the most noise are often the ones profiting from our exhaustion. As capitalism thrives on keeping us stimulated and distracted. Mind you, I keep saying these two words: attention economy. Attention economy, attention economy, attention economy, attention economy. It is the most valuable currency right now, even more than motherfucking money. It's your attention. That's why millions of dollars are being paid for Super Bowl ads. Not because that shit is really important, but because millions of people are viewing this. And by millions of people are viewing this, maybe we can pay $1 million for this ad right here. When you start creating content and you start figuring out it's a lot more than content. When I started creating content on YouTube and started creating content on all these platforms, my good-hearted ass thinking about, oh my God, I'm gonna create some great content. It's gonna help people out because yeah, nigga, all that shit is cool, nigga. But how many watch hours you got? That's when I figured out all this content game it ain't really about content like that. I'm telling you, boy, this shit wicked. Watch hours. You need this amount of time because if you can hold this amount of people in your chat on your video, you can slide these ads, and you don't get a chance to even see what type of ads you slide. We slide your way. We're gonna put some shit over there. Whatever's going on in your local, regional, whatever it is, we're gonna just put some shit on there because you holding 200, 100, 30, 40, however many people you holding. Once you're able to get monetized and all that AdSense shit, now they're able to actually use you as a part of the machine, and niggas don't even fucking know. Cold game. But that's where we at. Like I said before, we don't often talk about silence as an equity issue. Chances are this is the first time you ever heard some shit like this. Niggas be so far off with arguing about all type of shit, but nigga, I'm trying to get to the crux of some different shit. I don't really care about who bringing shit to the table, and I don't. It's a lot of shit out there that don't mean nothing to me, but this is what means everything to me because I'm really fine tooth combing this shit. These are the conversations that I have with my big brother son, with my pops, with my partners and my friends and things like that. Like these are conversations that I really have. Sometimes it's unorthodox, and anybody that has grew up with me or been around me for some part of time will tell you this that nigga kind of always been like that. He gonna think about some shit we ain't never thought of, but we fuck with him because the nigga always makes sense. I'm not coming up with some of these things to be obtuse, but these are just things that I talk about. And I believe that that's why God put us all here is to have our own mind and have our own thoughts. A lot of niggas don't think no more. That's why they stuck. They don't think. They don't use their brain. They never sit in silence. They don't give them their chance, their brain, their body a chance to just be. I gotta just be. I crave that. I crave that. And like this section right here is so important to me because this is the part where I've learned over the last few years about how this shit is really a luxury. People will pay all this money just to pay for a peace of mind. Like I didn't understand it, but it means a lot. But why and how? How did it get here? How did it get to this point where they've been able to commodify something that we were supposed to have? That shit, God told us, hey, peace. You know what I'm saying? All this, that's something that God gave us, right? You know what I'm saying? We gotta, in the midst of all this, we're supposed to be able to be still. These are certain things that we have to be still about. We have to be peaceful about. It's a lot of shit gonna be going on. In the midst of all that shit going on, you gotta be still. I often compare it to kind of being in the eye of a hurricane or in the eye of a tornado. The eye is usually the calmest spot. Everything outside of you is going off the meat rack. You feel what I'm saying? It's going off the chain. But as long as you kind of stay in the eye of that hurricane, you can kind of see what's going on. You kind of see all the dangerous shit that's out there, kind of see it, but it's calm right there. It's quiet. Everything's, you feel what I'm saying? So the equity issue of silence, right? This capitalism thrives on us, on keeping us stimulated and distracted. This machine feeds off our attention. It is what it is at this point. But if we're too tired to think, if we are too overwhelmed to pause, if we're too anxious to dream, then we're easier to manage and easier to market to. And that's what I'm always bringing home with anything that I put out. We're going, I'm gonna walk you all the way down through there. You feel what I'm saying? Just imagine everybody saying, "Hey, we're gonna go through the mind of the brain of this nigga right here." That's just how I think about it. Everything got us pulled million directions. We easy to manage now, cause we ain't been able to focus. Every lot of man, just focus. We able to, man. Once we focus, every time we get a chance, every time somebody achieves a focused way of thinking, they take them from us. Think about when Malcolm came back. He was fully focused now. That took him from us. When Prince had reached, and he was saying, "Hey, they about to do this thing where right now we're getting paid dollars off these physical copies, but I'm seeing a digital template of from going for us to be getting paid $10 or whatever off the physical copy. We're gonna start getting paid cents off a stream, and we don't even know what a stream is." They've kind of legalized music pirating and kind of flipped it to where it's what happened to him. Once anybody in our community starts getting focused, boy, they better get somebody around them. or know how to move right. Because once they get up, once they get around people, once people find them, because those people are hard to find. Let's look at this shit right now. In the midst of everything that's going on right now, I'm pretty sure, in my opinion, this is top tier, high quality content people can use. But I have to work so hard to be seen because there's so much bullshit off the way. So much bullshit out here. I gotta compete. This year is the Royal Rumble, and that's how I see it. It's the Royal Rumble. Anybody is squabbling right now. You gotta compete with your good ass content, good hearted content. With it's helpful, yeah, but you gotta compete with this chick over here, and she got fat ass, and she got them titties with them pancake areolas, butt booty naked. You got to compete with her. You got people, the nigga that talking about he gonna slide on something, glide on something, and shooting up everything. You got to compete with him. These are getting millions of views. I'm in this room right now with something that I know can help out thousands of people, millions of people, but I'm squabbling just to be seen, just to be heard. Everything I gotta go through just to be heard. You feel what I'm saying? I ain't even asking to be seen. I gotta fight just to be heard. To be able to hold people here just to hear what I'm saying. And that's why I'm so thankful of people who are here and people who actually give me a chance and hear me out of what I have to say, because that means a lot to me for somebody who takes time to craft this content. This shit is hard. If I wanted to be like everybody else, not be like everybody else. If I wanted to create content that doesn't help our people out, it is what it is. You understand what I'm saying? But I know when I think about what I'm going through and what I have going on, what my peers have going on, what my close friends have going on, what my family has going on, what our children are going through, what our elders are going through, I can't help but to do this. I don't want to make nothing that don't mean nothing. It's enough niggas who doing something that don't mean shit. Somebody got to do something that means something. And if it's worth having a fight, a squad for it, then shit, I'm from South out of Texas. Shit, that shit just come with the flow. And come with everything else. Head high, chest out, nuts to the ground, toes to the ground. It got to go down. You feel what I'm saying? I learned that just being from the area that I'm from. Sunny South Dallas. It's the land where the sun always shine, baby. The sun shine the most. Stars shine. You let your soul shine. It's a beautiful place that has probably birthed some of the most inspirational people. Um, you don't even know it, but it means something to us when we grow up in those areas. You know, where out of all this shit that everybody's showing, somehow, some way, we're able to see the most beautiful things out of the most ugliest situations. It's almost like an appreciation for, you know, that's something that's a peculiar thing. But for those who understand, we understand. You know, I don't have to go further to explain it, but that's kind of where I go with this, right? Being easier to manage because we too distracted to even think or stay focused. And then if we being distracted and we can't stay focused, then shit, what's next? We're able to we're going to show you this. Now we're going to market you this because your ass ain't focused. You distracted. You need something to keep you focused with you. So what we're gonna give you? Some new technology is gonna help you out because your ass can't stay focused. We're gonna help you stay focused. We need $1,000 on this phone, $1,000 on this watch, $1,000 on this contraption. That we need your money because you can't stay focused. So, but we got you. You feel me? It's silence kind of threatens that system, you know. So because in silence we start to see clearly. We get clarity. That's the moment of clarity, and we also remember what matters. And again, we ask these questions: why am I always so tired? Why am I doing all this shit? Who benefits from my burnout? Who benefits from my burnout? Now, those are very, very dangerous questions for a society built on consumption and conformity. Once you start asking new questions, especially when you start getting loud with them, people gonna call you crazy. That nigga crazy. What the hell he thinking about? What you mean? Why you thinking like that? Why once you start being once you start going against the grain of whatever society's doing right now, we don't know what the hell going on right now. This shit just rolling, and we don't even know what's going on right now. This is like a show. This is like an improv show. We don't know what the fuck going on right now. But once you start asking those questions, like who benefits from my burnout, it's automatically going to make your gears start grinding. Why am I always so tired? Why am I doing all this just to live? Like, and then you're not even really, living. You're not even, majority of Americans shit are just surviving. We doing more surviving than we are living. So why am I doing all this for living? I mean, so surviving. Why I gotta do all this shit? Why am I so tired? I gotta do this shit again, over and over and over again. Repetitive. Who benefits from me from this shit being repetitive? Who benefits from me doing this? Who benefits from my burnout? These are some very dangerous questions to ask for a society built on consumption and conformity, which is why reclaiming silence is somewhat of a radical act nowadays, especially for marginalized people. Now, especially for those who told, for those told that they must hustle, must grind to prove their worth just to survive, like I just said. And in this context, choosing silence and choosing to rest and choosing to be still and to say, you know what, not today. That was Stone Cold used to do. That's an act of rebellion. It's a declaration. It's I'm not a machine. I'm a human being, and I deserve peace, and I shouldn't have to work for it because God provided that for us when He created us. He didn't create all this extra shit. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, silence has become a luxury, but it shouldn't be. It's a God-given right, and it should be remembered as such. Right? As we close this out, you feel me? As we close this out, what's up with that, my one? What's good with it? As we close this out, right? Um, my last thought about this whole thing was silence. This whole thing had a different title to it, but anyway, the sound of power, right? I just walked down through four instances that I felt like were very important, where I tried to frame silence as this thing that's being stolen from us, that I believe is being stolen from. These are certain things like God given rights that are kind of being commodified, in my opinion. It's like us paying for water and fruit and things like that. It's like, God damn, God gave us these water. We can't even know water. We can't pay for the water, man. God damn, we got to pay for the water. Pay for fruits. We gotta pay, just, you know what I'm saying? There's certain things that just bog my mind at times, but in a world that's screaming for our attention, right? Silence is not the emptiness; it's the essence. It's where the self begins and where the truth hides. It's also where we reclaim what the noise has stolen from us. All this noise has stolen clarity, presence, peace, and power, right? Silence is not passive and it's not weak and it's not surrendering. It's strategy. It's resistance. It's the quiet refusal to be consumed by chaos, commodified by algorithms, or controlled by expectation. We've been conditioned to think that meaning must be loud, constant, and visible. But the most profound transformations often happen in stillness. Seeds sprout in silence. Grief unfolds in silence. Healing begins in silence. Every revolution, the real ones, the real revolutions, are first whispered in silence before they ever roar in the streets. They plan, they strategize how we gonna do this now. And that's the invitation, not to withdraw forever, but to return to yourself, to know when to speak and when to listen, when to move and when to be still, when to react and when to reflect. Because silence isn't the absence of voice, it's the cultivation of it. That's where your voice starts. Your voice doesn't start with sound, your voice starts with silence. You have to think about what you say. You have to. And it's also how we learn what's worth saying and what's worth saving and what's worth letting go. So, the next time the world gets too loud, too fast, too demanding, ask yourself, what might I hear if I stop trying to speak over everything and everybody? What might I feel if I stop trying to fix everything and everybody? Who might I become if I finally gave myself permission to be still? Because in that stillness, beneath the noise, beyond the scroll, behind the mask, you might just discover the most powerful sound of all. And that's your own sound, your own sound. Shout out to everybody who stopped through. Shout out to everybody on Facebook, everybody on YouTube, everybody on Twitter. Better yet, the platform formerly known as Twitter, man. Shout out to everybody out there that's going to watch this in the future on either one of those platforms, whatever goes on, man. I appreciate you stopping by and giving me and lending me an ear. It's very important that we kind of get these messages out. So I would highly appreciate it if you would share this message, if you would like, share, and subscribe, and do the things that are being scrolled across the bottom of the screen. You understand me? Make sure you also go to Trill Pill Digital and subscribe as well. I'm gonna get that link for y'all. Don't worry, we're gonna make this very simple. We'll make you have to move a muscle, have to shake and bake. Oh, I gotta go type. No, you don't. I got you. I got you over here. I got you. You feel what I'm saying? I got you. You know, if nobody else got you, God damn it, I got you. You feel me? So this was powerful right here. You know, it was powerful when I wrote these notes down and how I'm gonna frame this. It was powerful when I tried to, you know what I'm saying? I had to get my words together for this and all this. You know, it was powerful. Just me coming up with the concept of some of these things being stolen from us, like boredom. Like being bored is being stolen. Like once you think about it, like, you know, certain things, like just hearing it is like, yeah. But once you think about it, it's like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like a few of these things, in my opinion, like they have been finessed from us and repackaged and sold back to us. You know what I'm saying? Like we're gonna take your God given right of being peaceful and we're gonna put peace at a price. We're gonna put a price on being peaceful. Put a price on peace. Pieces of prices. Prices of pieces. Pieces of peace. Of price. Things of that nature. So, shit like that kind of, you know, it is something that I often think about at work, and when I'm out just moving around and try to think about what this world is going to be when I'm gone. I don't know when that's going to be, but shit, what is this world going to be when my kids have kids? Like, what is going to happen? Where is this shit going? You feel what I'm saying? Where is it going right now? Like, this shit right here just looks terrible. And it kind of looks like we don't know what that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just look, everybody looks lost, man. Like, it's just, you know, and it's a lot of bullshit that's going on, so hopefully I can be a place of peace, of hopefully I can create the type of content that attracts people to want to come and actually have a conversation about these things. You know what I'm saying? Trying to find my tribe about this, because I know I'm not the only one out there. I just gotta find the millions and millions of people who rock with things like this, who also think like I think. You feel what I'm saying? That is the everlasting squab with being a content creator. But um, if you are creating content like this as well, or you are finding different ways to express yourself, don't be afraid to just put it out. You feel what I'm saying? Don't let yourself get caught up in these numbers and all this shit like that, because it's gonna rob you of your purpose. You feel me? You might pop, you might not pop, it might take you a long time. You might gotta find different things. You gonna have to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? But the figuring out part is the beautiful part of it, and that's the fun part of it, because especially once you know that you got dope content, a dope catalog, you feel what I'm saying? Once you know that you got that, then you already know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like growing up. Like, everybody know we already, for a lot of us, we already had the respect. Now we just need the money to go with it. We already got the respect. We just need the money to go with it. It's that same thing. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say I create content for those, for the people who on the grind, however you get it, trying to come up with creative ways of taking care of your family, taking care of yourself and your loved ones. I think it's overlooked at times. This shit hard. This shit ain't easy. This ain't just, I don't care. It ain't no rap songs in the world that can make it think that this shit is easy, because you do it repeatedly every other, like every day, every month. You have to do it. And the moment you don't do it, it's the moment that everything falls apart, especially being a black man. You feel what I'm saying? The moment that you don't do this shit, the moment that everything fall apart, just stop doing shit for 1 month. Just don't pay no bills and see motherfuckers don't give a fuck about how you feel. You feeling sad and shit. So I ain't pay my light bill. That shit's getting cut the fuck off. I'm feeling too sad. I don't, yeah, they gonna, yeah. Nobody gives a damn about all this shit, and it kind of robs us of really feeling and really being human. So that's kind of why I like creating content, because it kind of brings that back, in my opinion. Like, and I feel that feeling when I really create this shit. I feel that feeling of being human when I talk about this with my pops, and it just restores that feeling of things just being original in a day and age where a lot of this shit ain't original no more. Everything is kind of weird and kind of manufactured. Everything's so manufactured. Like, even these videos, like, yeah, like everything is so, it's they're trying to get you. They're trying to get your attention. Like, everything is fighting for your mind. Just look at it that way. Everything you look at, everything you watch, everything that you're attracted to is fighting for your attention. It's fighting for your eyes. And it will do whatever it takes to get your attention, whether it's good or bad. The algorithm don't give a fuck whether this content is good or bad. They just want your eyes so they can slide them ass across your motherfucking face. You feel what I'm saying? So this shit right here is different. And with it being different, I know from the very beginning I'm going to have to run a different race. You feel what I'm saying? I'm gonna really have to listen to what Nipsey was saying about the marathon and why he created the concept of the marathon. And it was more than just music. It's I'm doing something that's different. So people are the most scared of what's different. They never heard this like this. They never saw this like this. They never even thought about some of the things that's being said, but it's too different. People gonna go with what's being familiar, whether it's, you know, shit. Stockholm syndrome, a lot of these times. People know all this shit ain't really good for their brains. They gonna keep going back for it because it's familiar. So that's the fight when you got something different. You got something that's original. It's a different fight. You feel what I'm saying? It's a whole different fight. You doing something different. You literally going against the grain. And I live with that. I die with that. But I can't die doing what everybody else is doing and just being okay with it because it makes some money. This shit way bigger than money. I'm always find a way to get me some money, regardless. This shit bigger than that. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than the YouTube shit. Bigger than Twitter. It's bigger than Facebook. It's bigger than everything. You know what I'm saying? One of the dopest things happened to me today, and I'm gonna close this out. This real shit, right? Today at work, sometimes when sometimes things get slow on my end. You know, I'm a roll-off driver, so sometimes things get slow. So they ask you to do certain shit, and then I ask you to go do something else, drive a different truck or whatever. And I wasn't really feeling that. You feel what I'm saying? I was in my emotions. I was in my feelings. Like, God damn, I don't really want to. You know what I'm saying? But in the midst of me doing it, I did the little shit and I came back. And I guess I had a look on my face. I just didn't notice it. But there was a guy um there was a guy who was getting back to his car. He had came through. This is it's two sides to where I work at. It's a truck side and it's a civilian side, regular civilian side with the cars and shit. So I was on the side with the car. So he was getting his shit together. He whatever he got came back and he looked at me and said, "Hey man, God is in control." Now, I don't know this man from a can of paint. And I ain't lying just to have some type of moment on some type of content. I'm really giving y'all honest to God truth. You feel what I'm saying? He looked me dead in my eyes and told me, "Hey man, God is in control." And I kind of was off on the because my mom, I did not. Y'all know when you're doing some shit that you don't want to do, but you know what I'm saying? You ain't really fucking with this shit. But he just looked at me and said, "God's in control." And it's like it readjusted my stance on whatever mood I was in before he said that. It wiped that shit clean when he said that. God is in control. And I said, "Yeah, he is. For sure, for sure." He said, "Yeah, God's in control." Then he got in his car, burnt on, cut the music on. Mexican dude. He cut that shit. Cut that shit on, drove the fuck out. And I was sitting there like, and there was nothing to do on the forklift, sitting there like, look at each other. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those moments where, like that, like certain moments like that is what my mother talked about in her journal when she was, before she left, she was always writing, and she left those moments in those journals, and she would document those moments. And like it's certain things like that where you can't. I can literally tell you more reasons why there is a God than more than it's not. I don't need a book to tell you this shit. I'm just gonna tell you out the experiences that I have through my life. I don't need no scriptures. I don't need none of that to tell you that there are way more reasons to believe that there is a God than some that's not. Some of this shit is just divine. And you gotta believe in some of this shit. You gotta believe in yourself. And if you have the gift, because we all have the gift, but if your gift is, you know, trying to create something out of a certain spot and you trying to put it out for the world to see, and it's something different than what's going on. It's a lot of devilish shit going on. You feel what I'm saying? So if you're doing something that's against all that, trust me, it's gonna take you gonna Your thesis will be tested, my boy. Your thesis will be tested. We're gonna see how serious you are about doing what you're doing because it's bullshit out here. It's so much I see it. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell you, like I didn't think I would be in this far with some of this shit, but I'm here. And I kind of got lost in between some of this shit and kind of full circle my way back just because of just that's just how God made it to be. You know what I'm saying? I can't sit here and try to create an explanation. Some of the things are not able to be explained even to y'all. Like I said earlier, what we're going through. You know what I'm saying? Some of these things are just to be kept. You feel me? But it's certain things that you're going through in your life and that we going through, you know, in our lives that um, are very important. And I don't want people to lose sight of that. You know, it's you got to be careful when you watch this shit. Now, by all means, I like some goofy shit just as the next person, but be careful how much of that bullshit that you consume before it starts to consume you and you become it. You are what you feed. You are, and there's no other like metric to measure that with other than your algorithm. Some of that shit is you. Some of that shit is them, but some of that shit is you too. It's kind of how they maneuver it in. You know what I'm saying? They maneuver in, you know, they weave in the bullshit with your interest. But if your interest is bullshit, everything you do look at is gonna be bullshit. It's a sick game that is being played. You feel what I'm saying? Um, I keep reverting back to ideological subversion. I done said that shit so many times. I'm tired of saying it. But ideological subversion. Like go and watch Yuri Bismanov in that video in 1984. Had that interview. He's a former KGB operative, all that shit. And just go look. Just before you go and listen to everybody opinions on that interview, go listen to it for yourself and think about where we are today. And you'll understand that this is way bigger than just, oh, I just got something on the phone. I'm looking at it. This shit is way, way, way bigger. This shit is way deep. You feel what I'm saying? So, but I see myself to be somebody who, you know, I know I'm gifted. I know I'm different. You feel what I'm saying? And I used to be afraid of my gifts, you know, off the fact that, you know, I knew everybody wasn't, you know, I used to always want to be accepted and want to be friends. And I know if I showed my gift off, then everybody wouldn't be accepted to it because it's so different, you know. And then at a certain point of my life, I just stopped giving a fuck. And here we are. Trip here. Monumental to be monumental. Stay true and heal most of all. Stay mentally trip, man. I'm gone.